Hey, you guys, and welcome back to the Real Talk Girlies podcast. I'm your host, Disapproval Joe, and today I'm back again with Steve Brown.
Hello.
And I'm with my good friend Major again, who is also in a podcast episode.
Hey.
So today's a very special day because it's actually my birthday.
Whoop.
And I'm turning 24 today. And we decided to wrap up the second album called I'm Back. I wrote it when I was 13 to 16 years old. We actually started this project 1 year ago. And Steve was kind enough to spare time so I could come in and record with him. He brought in some donuts. I got to meet his intern. His intern got to...
Jeremy.
It's not Jeremy. What the fuck is his name? Wait, it's... Oh, Dan.
It is Dan.
Yes, I kept calling him Nick. Don't ask. But Dan is actually in one of the songs. He does a girlish scream. Shout out to you, Dan.
Wait, that was Dan?
That was Dan,
That
the
was
intern.
Dan.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I thought that was a girl screaming the whole
No,
time.
babes, that was Dan.
Oh my God.
definitely
Shout
a
out to
soprano.
Dan. Literally shout out to Dan.
So yeah, the album will be coming out June 4th. And this album means a lot to me because, as we know, Disapproval came out actually 5 years ago. And that album was like a current event in my life that I recorded. But this album, now we're going to be doing the albums in order of when I wrote them, as we know. So album one I wrote like when I was 13, 14. And now we get to see how I'm Back, the first album I wrote, gets to Disapproval and other albums I've written as well beyond that. So today with you guys, I wanted to share some of like the recording, the writing process, working with Steve and my friend Major as well, and the feedback that I've heard from them regarding this album, working with me, and any questions or concerns you would like to share in the comments as well. So I wrote down some questions I wanted to ask you guys both. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask was, what is it like being in the studio with Disapproval Joe? What is it like working with him? I've always asked this question to you, Stephen, when we have our meetings and stuff. So I guess, like, you know, now being 5 years in the game with you, what is the process like? Has it changed? Has it been more interesting? What would you like to say?
It's a wild ride. I mean, you go from metal music to pop bops pretty fast.
Yeah.
At least today we did.
For sure. I think, Major, you made that comment as well with the range with this album.
Oh yeah. I mean, like the first like song that you showed me, it was like super heavy metal, and then the next song it's like Britney Spears. I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a consistency there because there is, I think we've settled in on mostly like 2 or 3 sounds that kind of come in and out across the whole project. So it's not like the range is like 13 songs, 13 different genres. It's not like that either, but there's definitely like, oh shoot, this song's heavy. Oh shoot, this song's kind of like dancey, kind of poppy. Oh shoot, this one's kind of like a ballad. This one's softer, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. And like, what would you say it's like when like working with me? Like, how do you feel we collaborate and stuff?
I think it goes really well. Yeah, I mean, I think the songs have come out good. The melodies and the songwriting's just getting better and better. So
Yeah. And what's crazy is that I wrote these when I was 12, 13, up until I was 16. And I know my first album, Steve and I found myself in trouble with like matching syllables and making sure they fit with the instrumentals that Steve made for me. So I put that into account when making this album to match syllables and stuff, but while also honoring my younger self of what he wanted with these songs, with the messages. So I kind of took what my younger self said and I chopped it up to get to the point. Kind of like when you write like an essay, you don't want like a run-on sentence. That's like the best way I can simplify it. So I definitely think there's a lot of growth with the album. And I'm just so grateful that with my driving situation, I was just allowed to drive again this past December 30th with my epilepsy. I've been seizure-free now for the past 5-6 months, which has been amazing.
That's so good.
So I just appreciate you being so flexible so I can still make this happen. And you were able to take time out of your day, and I didn't even have to be in the session. I got to record at home and I would send you the things, and you were able to do stuff here at your studio. And
it's worked really well.
Yeah.
Obviously there's some situations where it is easier just being in the room, but I think we came up with a really good workflow that seemed to serve you in that season well, but also worked.
Yeah. And it was also cool too because I remember Major, I would show you stuff in between when Steve would mix things, and I got to hear like your guys' feedback and stuff, which was always cool and
That was
interesting.
my favorite part. I kind of felt like I was getting VIP access because I was.
Right.
It was great too because I got to hear the raw side of it versus the finished part, which is honestly my favorite part, is because I heard it when it was just either the instrumentals or just you singing or just you with like 2 instruments, and then you show me this like a couple months later and I'm like, holy shit, what the like, where did this come from?
It's crazy. I think like, I have like a lot of demos, and I always like to save demos on my phone. Like maybe it's like hoarding, I don't know, but like it's just cool to see like it's kind of like, like I was like, you're a parent, like, like you see your kids grow and it's like, oh my God, they were so young. And
my God.
I know that's such a weird way to describe it, but like I guess that's my way of like seeing it. Another question I have for you both is, what can you say fans to expect from this album?
Oh girl, everything. Literally everything. Everything. It's like, I don't know. I'm gonna sound corny, but it's like I'm very moved by music,
Yeah.
In a literal sense. If you are a person who gets emotional when you hear beautiful instruments, baby, you're gonna cry.
Yeah.
You're gonna cry. But I feel like, especially considering like the backstory to a lot of these songs, it's like it can resonate with a lot of people who went through a lot of different things versus like experiences that no one's been through,
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like a lot of it's relatable. So, and there's a lot of different like genres to it. Some of it's heavy metal, some of it's dancey, some of it's pop. So it's like, you're gonna find something to like,
Yeah. I appreciate that. And quick shout out to Mikey T, obviously Steve, who's with us today, and Jake Clark, who appeared on this album instrumentally. Big round of applause to them. They made this album so much more in depth of what I wanted. So thank you guys for taking the time to add to this album. And Steve, how would you describe this album to people? And I know, like, for example, Dan was here and he got to see that journey with you. So what would you say to other people, such as like interns or people in general, would say about this album? How would you describe it to them?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned tears because that's what I was thinking. Like, expect tears of joy or tears of sorrow. I don't know which. Maybe both.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
Across the whole journey. But I think people will like it. I think it's a massive step up from your first album. No offense. Freshman album. It came out great, but we came back and hit hard with the sophomore. Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah. I think like it's just so awesome to hear like from you, like working so close with you and stuff, that hearing you say that it's like an improvement and like a stepping stone up means like so much. So I'm so glad that you see that, and I also feel that, and like my fans, will also see that involvement as well. Now another question I had for you guys both was, so Steve, what would you say was different when we worked on Disapproval versus on working on I'm Back? What do you think was different about the process?
I think you were so young into your artistry in the first project. So sometimes you weren't sure even of the vision you had for certain songs. Not always, but sometimes. And still working through songwriting. So you and I were kind of going through some of that, like, as we were making it. I think the songs came out great in the end, but we were like duking it out in the sessions a little bit, which is good because I think like that's probably where like the foundation for a lot of your growth came from. But then it's almost like in this second one, you kind of like grew on your own. You have wings now, and you're flying a little bit.
I appreciate that. I think like working at home gave me the time to be more patient with myself.
Yeah.
And I got to let things sit, and then I got to go back and revisit them rather than taking up that time in the studio. I was able to take time on my terms to see what I actually liked. And like you said, like making sure it's something I wanted. Because I remember doing this album, I did so many demos personally, and I didn't even share them with you. And I was like, no, I don't want to show this to Steve, because after like a week, I was like, no, this isn't what this song is.
Interesting. So you were fighting's not the right word. You were wrestling through it a little bit when you were like figuring it all out.
Yes. And also kind of like a little bit of like self-esteem of like I know I can do better. Like like I was like okay, like it was like done, but it's like I could know I could do better. I felt like I wasn't applying myself all the way, and I think a little bit was out of like fear, just because like I don't think I can hit that note, or like I don't think I can do it this way. So I kind of like choked up, and I did like the safe route in the beginning. But then in this album, I feel I took more risk. Like I screamed, and I did higher notes, I did super low notes, and I feel like in the past I was kind of more in a comfort zone of like what I can hit, I can hit. And I kind of built a dependency, I feel like, on you to be like, oh, we'll see, we'll fix it. But I feel like now I bring a good foundation to build upon.
Yeah. 100%. You touched on something that I wonder if your listeners might want to hear about.
Okay.
You should explain what the process was like a little bit, because we kind of had a rhythm that we were working with where you had lyrics, but then it didn't just go from lyrics straight to demo.
Right.
Or even straight to me. You should explain like your process with how you...
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So what happened was that I had all my lyrics done. Like I said, I've always written all my lyrics right then and there. So the first thing I do is this to see what vibe I want. Do I want like a pop, a rock? And I'm very connected to my artists that I listen to, like, Britney Spears, Evanescence, Linkin Park, whatever. And I try to adapt to that as an influence, but then make it my own. I don't want to be like, copy and paste. Like, it's still going to be Disapproval Joe. Because Disapproval Joe is very sexy, very daring, very rock, very bold. And I'm influenced by that from other artists that I mentioned. So I take that influence, and then I used this beat store called Gaxilic. And Gaxilic, I actually bought a beat from them before for my song Not For Love, Just For Fun, which is out now. And I listened to those beats to get some inspiration to come up with some melodies. And that kind of got like the ball rolling for me to be like, okay, so now I see that if I were to sing this, be more rock or be more like that. And then that's when I turned to you, because I felt I had something to bring to the table. And I was like, okay, well, I'm really liking this beat from Gaxilic, but I want us to make something of our own.
Yeah.
And I kind of got the ball turning, like, oh, okay, I can see what you're going with. But then, like, let's do a flashback of 6 years ago. I didn't have that advantage. And it was just kind of like you had to jump in my brain, and I had to kind of give you like a map and be like, do the best you can. And not saying that that was like anyone at fault, but like that was just the scenario that I was in, because I was new in the music world. I knew I could write something with meaning and do something with it, but like actually finding the beats for it, that was a whole different story.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I'd realized it was the same producer every time.
Yes.
That was inspiring everything.
Gaxilic actually will post like every day. And
wow.
I would literally look like every day, and I would search very specific, like sad pop or like heavy rock, whatever. And they were it's very an organized site. And it brought up a lot of inspiration. So I will be using stuff like that again. And also, I think just like listening to other people's music, like, like we had Dan come in. I'm going to listen to his music today, the intern that was here today. And
you mean Jeff?
Don't piss me off.
You mean Raymond?
Who is Raymond?
Raymond is crazy.
Yeah, that's a crazy suggestion for his name.
But yeah, just like listening to other people and like their stories, and just like getting like a bigger feel. And like also in my field of social work, I'm going to be becoming a therapist next year. I'm learning so much more about other cultures, diversity, races, genders, and I use that as influence as well for lyrics. But then like also like with beats, like I hear so many different types of music from other cultures and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. And actually, like I remember like we were working on some of the songs for the album. I'm like, I want like an urban feel, like I want like a different feel, like with these synths and basses. Like, I want something very unique. And I think not only is Gaxilic a really cool advantage that I found online for beats that you can buy online, but just like talking to other people and listening to their culture and heritage was very inspiring as well.
I could honestly see you taking some inspiration from one of my favorite artists. His name is Joost Klein. I love him. He's I gotta check. How would I even describe his music? He's from the Netherlands. I'm going to look him up to make sure I'm getting it right.
Okay.
Yes. He's from the Netherlands, and he makes like Europop, like rave music. Some of it's rock, some of it is that, and he honestly reminds me of you a little bit because it's like he is so free in the sense that it's like when he wants to make a song that's like insane, he'll make a song that's insane, but then the next day he'll be like, I'm actually gonna make a sad song. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. You should honestly like listen to some of his music. Sorry. Shameless tag.
You'll have to send it to me. I would love to listen.
Literally my favorite artist of all time. He's great. But he reminds me a lot of you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up. There's a few artists on my list I need to look up actually. And another question I have for you, Steve, as well is like, as we know, you now have your own studio here.
Yeah.
Syracuse Sound. Everyone, please come to Syracuse Sound. Steve will hook you up. He's got great people here, such as Mikey T, Wiggs, and other awesome artists that have done amazing in the game. Highly recommend. But how do you find yourself being a parent of two and a husband and still managing to make sure you're there for your clients, but also your family? Sorry about that, you guys. That was something. I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
So it's okay.
I'm just kidding.
You're good.
Yeah, it's a lot sometimes. I mean, I think I just have to try and manage my schedule really well. Like, for example, this is a perfect example. This week, I worked late last night in the studio, and then I worked late Thursday. So it was like super important that I don't work late tonight because then I wouldn't be home for 3 evenings in a row, which is just kind of intense. I don't spend a lot of time with the kids in the morning usually. So if I go 3 days straight working late, then it's like I go almost 3 whole days without seeing the kiddos and my wife. So stuff like that, just being like super intentional with the schedule, like obviously I have to be able and willing to like work certain like weird hours or off hours, but at the same time being like, okay, like I can do that, but I gotta like keep it under control too.
So would you say like some like discipline with time management skills is important?
Yeah, for sure. That and being efficient, like. Because if I am not making best use of the available time, that like the most available time, I should say, then clients won't be happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then they're like waiting forever for things, and it's like, well, no, you gotta use the time that I have available efficiently.
Yeah.
Too.
And I know like Major and I can both relate. Like we're both in school right now with college and stuff like that, and having social life and getting your school done and being a parent and then making sure your clients are satisfied. It's a lot. So I just want to like give you guys both props to like being able to take time to do things such as this and, you know, still get your priorities straight. And I think that's great I think time management is a very important skill. And I think it's something that a lot of people will lack or not find to be important enough, I guess, to pay attention to. And I feel like even like at work, like I know Major sometimes if you would have, sometimes people be like, 5-6 minutes late. Some of it was due like to transportation, which I understand, but I feel like some did it simply because they didn't value it or find it to be a significant difference. And it's like, if you're 5 minutes 6 late for one of your clients, it's like, you know, that's time wasted because they pay you, you know? Yeah. And it's like, well, and it just like shows like disrespect, I feel.
For those listening, we started early today.
Whoop, whoop. We did. We love that for us.
I mean, I think I would also add too, like, sometimes certain things just win out over other things, and like sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, you know? Like,
right.
For example, like, and I think of this record. For what song was it we were talking about earlier that didn't get finished because I had all this stuff going on?
Can't Take Away Our Music.
Yeah, so I started that song, and then I moved across town. So it was like my whole family, we sold a house and moved. Just anyone who's moved, like selling and buying a house,
in the middle
is
of
insane.
It right now.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy.
Like the amount of like stuff you have to do and paperwork you have to fill out is insane. So then you got to plan a moving day, you got to pack. Like it's just. So I moved, and then 2 weeks later, my mom passed away. So it was just like craziness. And I guess I bring that up just to say like that stuff in that season like won, and like that song got delayed because of it. But it's out now, and it's okay. Like, you know?
And I think that's an important thing, too, is like when you show that you're loyal to people and you have personal stuff come up, a good person will respect that and have empathy towards that and be flexible. Like, hey, I know you have stuff going on. You take the time you need to get back to me when you can, whatever. And I feel like you and I had that within our whole friendship as well. Like I knew you had stuff going on and I gave you that space and you reached out to me. And I'm glad that, you know, you gave yourself that space. And like you said, like you pick and choose like which ones you're going to be more flexible with. Like, you know, like I got to make sure I'm with my kids because it's been like that 3-day mark and I don't want to break that. And you had personal stuff with your move and your mom passing, and you make sure you don't, you make sure you remind yourself of your worth. And that happens a lot. I feel people forget to do that. And that happens a lot in corporate jobs and stuff like that, where people will have to feel the need to do everything to please others, but then there's nothing left for yourself.
Sure.
So
yeah, I've been there.
I think it's great that you allow yourself a healthy balance of like, you know, like, hey babe, I'm sorry, I really just gotta do this project. I'll be back next time 100%. And then like other times like, no, like I have personal stuff going on. I can't do this week, but I can definitely do next week. It's like you are firm and you still respect, you know, your family life and your work life. And I think that's a hard thing to find a happy medium with. And I feel personally you do that really well.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while to get it down. At first, I didn't do it super well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think the thing that I had to realize is like, oh, if I'm like a people pleaser to the max, I want people to be happy.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. But if you're like bending over backwards and doing backflips all the time, you will have no life. And it's just not healthy at all. I don't think it's sustainable. You know what I mean? You keep that up for too long, and you're like, I quit. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, so then what good is that? You know, that's no good for anybody. So you have to stay on top of like healthy rhythms and controlling how far things go, I guess.
100%. And I know, Major, you shared with me a few weeks ago that you were in that people please era with someone that you were with, and like Steve said, like, you know, it's a lot.
A lot. Yeah. Being with somebody. Shout out my Rocco. I'm going to name drop.
Not the name drop, bro.
Listen, I don't care at this point.
Oof.
He got people on Twitter to block me.
I know.
For the most crazy shit. Oh, I'm not going to get into that. Oh, that is a whole can of worms I'm not going to open up.
We understand what it's like.
I get it.
To
well,
like,
because you cannot, in a job, with your friends, anything like relationship, whatever, you got to understand that you come first.
Right.
You know? But I don't mean that in a selfish way. I'm in my whole, you know, selfish era after dating POS for the last 5 years. So my bad. But it's just, you got to find that balance. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying that you don't want to do something, you know, for your own health. And it's like, especially like in a job, it's like, dude, when the place we worked at, that manager started giving me shit because I was going on a trip with my family, and I was like, what the fuck? And she gave me crap for it. I'm like, okay. And I put in my 2 weeks the next day.
Yeah.
I do not tolerate disrespect, because at the end of the day, in a non-selfish way, I'm my number one, you know, just like how everybody else should be their own number one. Because all you got is yourself, you know, you got to love yourself. So.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, no one's going to look out for you the same way that you will. It's just a fact.
Yeah, that's why I took initiative and left that place we worked at, because she was evil to me. She was evil.
Yeah, she did not like him.
She was so mean to me.
That was so mean. Crazy time.
And then I left the next day. She disrespected me one time.
You left a note, bitch.
I did.
And
I left an official 2 weeks notice.
One read it.
That one guy called me and was like, Major, you're quitting? I can't believe you actually left at 2 weeks. I'm like, you're not supposed to? Like, and I literally said in my 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm leaving due to poor management issues. And I'm like, deuces, see you later. Like,
wait, they were surprised that you didn't just walk out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which I'm like, why are you guys getting mad at me for leaving a 2 week?
The society has no class.
Yeah.
Wild. Another question I had for you, Steve, and I always ask you this question, but are we ever going to get any new projects from you? Like an album, a single, anything new? Like, I still listen to your one song, Yeah, we'll carry on, yeah, we'll carry on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, listen, Major, like, once in a blue moon, Steve will drop something or feature on something, and, what was that one you did with you and Wigs? Oh, fuck, what was it called?
I mean, the one it was on, like, Mikey's album or
yes.
something?
Oh, fuck, what was it called?
Crazy Chick. Right?
Yes, something like that, yes. Oh, my God. But, like, are we going to get anything from you in 2025?
I don't know. I mean, I have one in the vault.
Oh, my God. Oh, we got a teaser.
I don't know. I just haven't gotten the inspiration to finish it, I guess.
Is it like, I know, is it like something for like the church, something for your family, or is it like more like for you?
I guess you could call it a family song, maybe.
Okay.
I wrote a song. I think I remember. I'm trying to remember when I started it, but I wrote a song, and it's about the birth of my first son.
You're still on that song?
And I haven't really touched it, but I have it in the vault.
Because you talked about that in the Lost podcast episode.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
We need it.
I don't think I've done anything new.
You guys, please, everyone in the comments say we want C. Brown album, single drop, anything, because this man, I love it when he sings. I love it when he writes, when he dabbles for himself. Like, I need it.
Me and my buddy Jonathan were writing a church song.
Yes.
It's kind of cool.
That's
not done yet either, though.
It's okay, but there's a few things you're dabbling in, to say the least.
I suppose so. I don't know if they'll ever see the light of day, but sometimes it's fun to write.
You guys, please make it. Please, we need it. Thank you. Like, you don't understand. Like, I have Steve's first album, bitch. Okay, I have it on repeat. I need it on Spotify.
It was. I took it down.
You guys, please put it back on Spotify right now because it pissed me off that he has it off. Another question I have is, so I know Major, you've heard bits and pieces, but Steve, we kind of talked about this earlier today, but your favorite one off this new album and why?
Can I look at the track list?
Yeah, go ahead. We can cheat.
You can cheat. It's not a test. It's not a test. Don't worry.
I know what my answer is. I just don't remember. Fighters. For some reason in my head, I wanted to say Criminals, but I was like, nah,
that's
not
the
it.
other album.
I know that. Yeah, that's why I was like
God.
that. I was like, no, that's not it. It's another single word.
Right.
Hard, like, because that one's a rock song too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the reason why is because it's dope. That's all I got.
Yes.
There's like a cool breakdown at the end. It's just like an interesting arrangement. I don't know. I just like it. I like a lot of the rock ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
For cutting
No,
you.
you're good. I'm glad you like the rock ones. You've always been a fan of my rock ones.
I don't know.
I guess I was made for rock.
Yeah, you were.
What about you, Major? What is an album or a song that you really like off this album?
I already know. I like No Ordinary Life the best.
No Ordinary Life.
You know, and I'll put it in Joe's words. He said, Major's going to like this song because he's an emo bitch like me. You know what?
I would never talk like that.
I would never. You said that earlier.
I would never.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's
you
crazy.
guys are framing me. Literally
Can neither
framing
confirm
me.
nor deny whether that happened or not.
Yeah. No, I like this one a lot. And I like, honestly, as someone who is very, like I said earlier, I'm obsessed with instrumentals.
Yeah. There's a lot of those in here.
Instrumentals and the screaming. Oh, yeah.
That's
I like that
It's a
one
nice touch. Is that the
very
only
good.
one with screams?
Well, we have Can We with the Scream. We have a lot of moaning.
The Can We scream is more like a
like a fact.
Yell. Or like a
Oh no, but no, because like always, and Can We say, fucking scream. That's kind of like a scream.
Yeah,
that's
true. Not like the ordinary.
No,
that's like an emo scream.
That was a different level. That was like early in the morning.
I love that.
Yeah, I was in there. You were in the booth like yelling your face off.
I did pretty good.
I did pretty good.
So another question I have for you guys is like, how would you describe Disapproval Joe like as a person to people? That like when working with him and stuff like that, like how would you describe like his character traits to people?
I don't listen. Like I've only seen the friend side of you, but like Disapproval Joe, I feel like he's one of those people that once you have him as a friend, the most loyal person in your life, but once you piss him off, it's like you're dead. You know?
Yeah, that will do it.
You are dead.
That will do it.
That will do it.
It's being a Taurus. Sorry about it.
Oh, me too, though. Literally, me too.
Don't piss me off.
Don't piss me off.
Like I preach it.
No,
What
I
about
get
you?
it.
What about you, Steve? How would you describe Disapproval Joe as a person to people?
I don't know.
Something.
Sassy.
Yeah, he is.
Sassy.
He is.
Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Sassy.
So sassy.
Ew.
Who's that? Ew. Oh my god.
Anything else you want to say about Disapproval Joe as a person, or just sassy?
Sassy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That
I don't know.
encapsulates all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's what?
That encapsulates all of it.
Yeah.
Sassy.
I feel it's like my alter ego. He's very confident and he's going to get what he wants done.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also, like you said, Major, I think you put it in a really good way. It's like if he likes someone, like they're locked in for life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great way to put it. And then a question I had for you, Steve, is that you work with a lot of people. Who would be like a mainstream artist you would love to work with? There was kind of like one I feel like you were hinting today.
Oh?
You were Mr. Benny Blanco.
Oh, yeah. I would love to work with Benny Blanco.
Benny Blanco.
That's a good answer.
That is Selena Gomez's current fiance.
Oh.
He mixed like Teenage Dream, We Are Who We Are, Animals.
No. Oh my God, you know who I literally just started listening to last night? Big Time Rush.
I love Big Time Rush.
Oh my God.
Yo.
I can't. Like
Kendra. Sorry, you guys. My bestie's here.
Special
what the
guest.
fuck? Babes, during the podcast, get over here, you bitch.
This is a special guest, guys.
Oh my God.
Surprise guest.
Thank you.
We were just talking about Big Time Rush.
We were talking about Big Time Rush.
Did I summon you? Oh, I'm Major. Nice
This
to meet
is
you.
Major. This is Kendra. Hi. Sorry for the information, y'all. That's Steve. That's Kendra. She's the one I do my acting classes with. We do improv together. Yes. So, Steve, you would say Benny Blanco and who else? Oh, damn.
Oh,
That was a great answer for me. Just I think Benny has a really good ear and concept of like for pop in general in like a vague sense, and I just love that style of production where it's just like all about like finding the right sound and sticking with like it's kind of minimalistic but at the same time like just like really well done.
Yeah, 100%. Do you want to get like another chair for all of us?
Yeah, I can get it.
Okay, perf. Well, Kendra, welcome to the chat, babes. You can talk right in the mic. You talking that green thing?
talking that green thing.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Special guest showed up.
Yes. We're just waiting for Steve to get a chair. You can pick who do you want to share a mic.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
You guys can pick who you want to share a mic with. No one has cooties, I promise.
We'll swivel the mic around.
Swivel.
Stay too long because I have to get my sister.
Okay, girl.
But I wanted to still
Yes.
stop by.
All right.
Poke.
So another question that I had, and this can be like for everyone because actually, Kendra, I know that you've been really big in the musical world as well when it comes to acting and stuff like that. So for all of you guys, like, what is it like listening or making music to you guys?
I want to do it. I want to do it real bad. I've always wanted to make music, but I literally have no idea how. Like, not even singing. Like, okay, I'm going to get judged so hardcore for this, but like one of my favorite artists, her name is Fentanyl. Oh my God, I can't. She is a trans woman that literally only makes breakcore stuff. And I don't know if you guys listen to breakcore. I don't even know if you guys know what it is. It's literally just a bunch of crazy instrumentals. There is no lyrics whatsoever. Oh my God, her music is so good. I'm going to make you listen to her.
Yeah, you have to hook me up with this.
She's amazing. Like, and she has like some, like there's some samples like people talking or like some of this stuff. Like one of my favorite songs by her right now is Attacking Vertical. And like, even though there's like literally, well, that one has lyrics in it. I can't say that. That one has lyrics in it, but they're not like singing. It's just talking, and that's it. And it's like a scary, cryptid voice. But then halfway through, it breaks into this teenage boy talking about how his best friend almost killed him, but it was because it was okay because like there was an animal inside. And I'm like, hey, I know what that's about, you know? And so it's like, I've always wanted to make breakcore music, but I don't know how. I have no idea. And I guess I've always really been connected to music ever since I was young. I used to write really shitty lyrics when I was like 5, being like, I love you, Dad. And that was it. And I didn't know what else I put there. I'm like,
what more do you need?
What more do you need? It was just, I love you, Dad, over and over again with like different piano keys. I'm like, you know what, this is banger. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I have a guitar. I have a saxophone.
Ooh.
Forgot how to play my saxophone. Don't know how to play my guitar. And I don't know what else. You know, that's all she wrote. I just want to learn. I just want to learn. But yeah, I think that you are a huge inspiration to me. And my best friend, Braden, you know, shout out Braden, because he also is a huge inspiration to me with that whole thing. Because you guys are both artists.
Yeah.
You guys both make music. He was part of a band called Alocasia that had to split up because of college. But that might be getting back together, you know?
Shit.
So I don't know. I might be one of those people someday.
Well, I'm glad that you felt inspired by people in the music world and, like, you know, always has connections. Like, you know, like you have to build connections to, like, make stuff happen.
Yeah.
So what about you, Steve? What would you say, like, you know, making music to you feels like? What it makes music so pump and going for you? Like, you know, the vibes.
I don't know. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Like, you're just hanging out. Like, I usually start with, like, a rhythm, and you start in a bass. And then with composition, it's so fun, too. You're like, okay, I got these words. How do I want them to feel? Okay, so I have to write it this way with these kinds of chords or this. And you're not really in a box, so it's, like, super creative, like, how you can do it. But then you want the form to be really good. I don't know. It's just there's your non-answer for you. But
It's just
really fun, and yeah, that's all I got.
Like, would you say, like, seeing, like, the process, like, come together, like, it is, like, fun within itself?
I think it's fun because it gets more fun the further you get into it. I guess
right.
I would say. Because you start with one thing and you're like, okay, cool. It's like just a kick drum, and you're like, cool, like that's great. But it gets more and more exciting as you start to build it, and it becomes clearer, and you're kind of like, okay, this thing in my head now lives in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So it just gets more and more fun as it becomes more and more matched up with the vision in your head.
No, I so get that. Like, when I hear what's, like, been in my head for the past, like, oh my God, 10, 12 years, it's like, holy shit. Like, that's what 13-year-old me wanted. So I think, like, seeing that become a reality is a cool thing. So I think that's a great way to put it. So what about you, Kendra? What would you say? Because I know, like, you love to do your acting. You've actually done some plays and stuff. So, like, what does being in the music world mean to you?
I really enjoy performing and getting up there. I think, like, this year I've done, like, the most with it, and getting more comfortable, like, performing in front of people, really.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot of fun. I think, like, the whole process of making music. Like, I also love to write lyrics, but I never really turn them into anything. But I'll sing them in my head. I have, like, 100 random voice memos that I've never done anything with, but...
Well, you know, Steve is always here, too. If you have any questions or anything, trust the process. Eric Hughes Sound, once again, plug it in. But I've seen Kendra do some acting and skits and improv, and we've always had a good time doing that. So I hope to see more of that of you in the future.
Yeah, you did really good, too, Joe.
It was just me being...
Everyone thought you were so funny.
That was just disapproval, Joe. He just came out. And then the last question...
Oh boy.
That I have for all of you guys is if, like, you guys, if you weren't in the fields that you are in now, what would you guys be doing instead?
Hollywood famous. Obviously.
Doing what?
Yeah.
No, just famous. Like, my name is Major. I feel like that's enough, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, see. No, I don't know. Something that would get me famous. I feel like if I started off with, you know, the whole music thing younger and I actually followed through with it, I would be somewhere.
So, like, a teen pop star?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
bitch.
Like Big Time Rush, you know?
Bitch, you can't quote Big Time Rush when you just start listening to them, but you have to be in the fan base for at least a year.
I have been. I've been listening to them since I was... Dude, I used to, like, have imaginary fights between, like, what are their names? Logan and, I don't know. Oh, my God. What is his name? No,
James, Carlos, or Kendall.
Who's the guy with the emo haircut? James.
Yeah. Or is that Kendall?
No, that's not Kendall. Kendall's the guy with the spikes. James was my... bitch, dude.
Yeah,
I
he's young.
loved him. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, literally, Logan and him used to beef it out in my dreams over, like, 8-year-old
Logan's
me.
not it for me.
Well, listen, I was like 8 and I was in love with them, so it's okay. I was in love with all 4 of them, actually, but I don't know. I just, like, I feel like I've been getting really into fashion lately, like, big time fashion, and I'm like, not this outfit. Not this one, you know. I saw you just look me up and down.
No, I didn't, bitch.
Not this one.
I'm breathing.
I put this one together because I was getting my haircut today. So, but yeah, I don't know, something big. I feel like, you know. I mean, I'm trying to be a pilot right now, but I've got a secret, you know, dream of being Hollywood famous. I mean, I feel like, you know, my name could just get me somewhere. I'm just going to go to a modeling agency and be like, my name's Major. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, okay, thanks.
That's all you need nowadays.
That's all I need.
So what about you, Kendra? If you weren't a nurse, what do you feel you'd be wanting to do for a career?
I definitely wish I would have pursued acting longer ago. I'm kind of getting more into it now. Yeah.
And where did we go? What's that place called again? Syracuse.
Syracuse Actor Studio. We meet on Washington Street.
Yes. Please shout out them out. They do amazing. It's all for free. They let you go there. They'll provide some water, some snacks, and there's a lot of awesome guest stars there. We do improv sketches. We even get to pitch TV show ideas we did once. Yeah. We actually acted out like very popular sitcoms like New Girl and Monk and stuff, which was really fascinating. And The Office, yep. So highly recommend if you pursue anything with acting or anything like that. And Steve, what about you? If, mixing and producing wasn't your jam, what would you be doing?
We're talking about realistically or not, or ideally?
It could be anything. It could be like a fandom thing, realistically.
I mean, I like what I do now. So now I do post-production audio. I own the studio, and I work in Christian ministry. Like I like that. I do that now. Mm-hmm. I guess I'll almost go the other way. I feel like if I weren't doing this, I always tell myself, I'm like, if this doesn't work out, maybe I'll be like an electrician or a bus driver or something.
A bus driver?
My mom is a bus driver. Do not do that shit. No.
I only say that. I feel like the longer I've done this, the more I realize that, and I guess maybe it depends on what you do and how it happens. But I feel like for me, it became a realization like doing what you love can be overrated sometimes.
Okay, that's a hot take, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, because I don't know, there's a difference between a hobby and a job, and then your hobby becomes your job, and then it becomes stressful, and then you're like,
you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So now I want to just ask those questions, but I wanted to share a little bit about this album with you guys and for the fans as well. So as we know, I wrote this album when I was about 12 to 16 years old. So I actually had a whole different track list. But it was literally the ball dropped like for New Year's, and I deleted the whole album except for 4 songs. I kept No Ordinary Life, Can't Take Away Our Music. Oh, what else did I keep? What the hell are those bitches called? But I only kept like 2 more of them. Oh, Everyone's Got a Story and Forever and Always. Those are the only 4 I kept. So I wrote those when I was about 13 years old. All the other ones I wrote when I was about 15, 16. So all the other ones were like addition done. And because I was being bullied so bad and stuff, like people did not like the album, all those type of things. So what's really cool about this album is that Disapproval introduced you to where I was back when I was 17, 18. So now we're rewinding the clock, and now we get to see the love interest I was talking about Disapproval when I first meet them. Such with songs like Flirty, like which is like describing the one outfit they wear and stuff like that, which they did. They literally wear the same outfit every day. I don't know why, but they did. I swear to God, the same zip up every motherfucking day, but it did it. So I just wanted to explain a little bit of each song. So the first song off the album is called I'm Back. And I'm Back basically describes of how everyone in my life thought I wasn't going to be alive. Everyone's like, he's going to kill himself. He's going to drop out. Like no one saw hope for me at the end of the tunnel. So I'm Back is basically a slap of the hair to be like, I'm still here, bitch. And you can't get rid of me. And actually, in the beginning, we had one of my friends, shout out Emily. She plays a fangirl, and my first song I ever did with Steve called Criminals is in the beginning of the song. And it's like, you don't know who Disapproval drove is? Like, what do you mean? And it's just like a cool thing to be like, like, I'm still here. And no matter what the haters say, I'm not going anywhere. So that's what I'm Back talks about. And then Can't Take Away Our Music is another song I wrote, which basically describes of how, like, once again, being bullied and stuff at a young age, the one thing I could always rely on was music. No one could take that away from me. When those earbuds were in, no one could turn it off. No one could take it away from me. And I feel at times when we're in that cliquey school environment, we lack certain things to hold on to. And I feel music is one that a lot can relate to that helps them. And with the lyrics, it basically says, like, this track is sick, the movements we all perfectly hit. All you fake wannabes go back and sit. You may talk shit, but you can't take away our music. The idea of how, like, my music will always be mine. You can run your mouth whatever you want, but I'm going to keep playing whatever the hell I want. Forever and Always was about the first friend I ever had. I couldn't have friends growing up with the environment I was in. I was told, like, had to have background check on the kids, the family, everything. Like, nothing was good enough for me. That's how I grew up in. So unless they were like, like my parents' best friends' kids, that was my only in. So that's how I became friends with this individual. And I wrote it when I was 13 and she was 18 because she was older and she was going to college. And I said my goodbye to her. So it's basically like a best friend goodbye song. And I actually, when we were done recording it, see if I send it to her. And I haven't talked to her in about, oh my God, like 10 years or something. And I shared it with her. She's like, and she was like, oh my God, I miss you so much. Like, that means so much to me, da da da. And that meant a lot that I was able to do that. So that was really cool. And then Everyone's Got a Story is a roller coaster of a story. I actually talked about this with Steve today. Everyone's Got a Story was inspired by this person I want to be friends with so bad. Like, like those like really bad boys. They're so cool. Yeah. They're like, oh my God, please. So I really wanted to be friends with him because he was just so interesting to me. And one day we were in class, like he just said, everyone's got a story, Joe. And that just stuck with me. And I made this song. And as we grew up in school, because I was like, 7th, 8th grade, whatever. We were no longer friends. He wanted to beat me up.
Oh.
And then because my parents both worked at the school, so they knew that we had a cop on our campus or on our school. I don't know why there was a cop at our school, but there was. And then he got arrested that day. And then I found out he got a girl pregnant. And then she turned out to be a lesbian. And now I think he's still in jail.
Yo, what kind of story does he have?
So, like, everyone's got a story, bitch.
This is crazy.
So, that sounds like a full circle. So, the song's beautiful. But every time I think about that, I think about that guy rotting in jail. So,
you should send it to him.
Bitch.
Yeah, send it to him.
Hey, babes, how your sentence? How many more weeks you got? By the way, will you stream this, bitch?
Will you stream my music, please?
Then we get to Flirty. And Flirty basically talks about, as we know, 13, 14, we're going through like the puberty era. So it's really discovering what I liked. And I didn't know if I was into men or women, but I was with this guy a lot. And like, I just thought it was like my really good friend and stuff. But it turned out to be more, as we know, as the songs and the albums go further. And I didn't realize at the time, but I was writing about him. And it just kind of was like, whoa, I guess I am writing about someone. But I just kept writing like, like a fun club song. But it turned out to be about him and basically the idea of how like you are attracted to someone physically and they make your body and they make you do stuff, like make you feel things, and that's what Flirty does. Then we get to Scandal, and Scandal basically talks about how people would see I was going through things, and if I ever had like a glimpse of happiness, they would try to like come at me. I felt like there would always be something to come at me about because I was always different. I didn't like join in on cliques to be cool or anything, like, so because I didn't do that, I was the oddball. So people would kind of make things up about me, and like one of the lyrics is like, fake pics with different bodies, and I actually had someone make a fake Snapchat account of me and put me on nude bodies.
What?
And I couldn't have Snapchat for the longest time. So stuff like that, like, people try to keep canceling me just because simply I didn't want to entertain the drama. So they had to make drama of me to make it so I would have a reaction.
People will do the craziest fucking shit just because they don't like you.
Yeah.
Craziest shit.
And the thing that's ironic with Scandal, because I didn't want to just be a woe is me song, like, like everyone's coming at me, I'm canceled, sad, sad. I flipped it, and when the attention's on them and they get canceled, then they can't handle it. So it's like, you can keep canceling me all you want. I can handle scandals, but you can't. So I kind of flipped it, which I thought was kind of cool. Then we get to Robot. And Robot basically describes of how you love someone, which is the same person we're talking about. But there's some things you wish you could change about them. Like the people they hang out with, of how like when they're with you, they're a totally different person with other people. And like with a robot, you can program them to your liking. And that's what I want to do with this individual. But the reality is that I couldn't because, like, that's controlling and stuff. So basically the idea of how I love this person and I didn't change anything about them and I let them be who they are because they're not my robot to control. Then we get to Fighters. Now, Fighters is interesting because Fighters was about two people who I was really close with. And I wrote it up for us three because we were both dealing with a lot of shit. And I said we were fighters. And it was like very moving for us three. But I remember I wrote the song, I was about like 15 or 16. And right before we graduated, or no, it was after 1 year after we graduated high school. You know, everyone does their own thing. I was at the mall and they texted me and they said, we can't do this no more. And I was like, can't do what? Like, we can't be your friend anymore. It's like too hard. Like, we're busy. We all have our different lives, whatever. And it made me so sad. So now when I think of fighters, I don't really think about those two people per se. But now, as I was working on the song with Steve, it turned out to be this such bigger, more moving song. And it's more about for everyone, that everyone can be a fighter because we all go through things. And I think the idea of wearing your scars proudly rather than hiding them out of embarrassment needs to become a norm. And that's what this song taught me. Then we get to Lovable Bitch. Now, Lovable Bitch basically is the idea of how someone needs to love me for being the bitch that I am, but also the sensitive person I am. And I feel at times we all have different sides of ourselves. Sometimes we're more affectionate. We want to be lovey-dovey. And other days we want our space and we may be more agitated than other days. So the idea of how I don't want to feel I have to walk on eggshells to fill your needs. I don't want to people please. I don't want to be the person that only you want me to be. And with Lovable Bitch, you can be a mixture of everything and not have to apologize for it. And then Can We basically is a song that describes how can we just leave this world behind and just live in the moment. Get in that car, go wherever the hell we can till that gas tank is empty. Go to a gas station, get Jolly Ranchers, whatever the fuck you want. Live your life. Have that sunroof up, have good music playing, and just live in the now. Because sometimes we're so fixated on the past or the future, and we're not living in the now. And I want to normalize living in the now at times like today. And that's what that song talks about. Then we have Plastic. Now, Plastic, I wrote when my relationship started to get more abusive. And I was also in another abusive relationship with someone else as well. Not like cheating on the person or nothing, but just like another person that I was talking to, just like a friendship. And they would put me down verbally and they were physical. And basically of how like I didn't have friends growing up. So I just thought this was normal behavior. So I people pleased and I did what they wanted. And I kept it to myself for the longest time until I wrote it on with the song. And there's this part in the song that really hits hard for me. And it's when I'm basically calming down the person that's being verbally abusive to me. And I'm like, wasn't like that, I swear. No, I love you. And it's not that you mean those things to them. It's like you're calming them down so that way they can't have anything to be mad about you about to hurt you. And that song really hits hard for me because I'm still in a situation like that in my life now. And I don't feel safe. But this song really helps me know that I can be more, and I'm trying to make it so I can feel more and not be this piece of plastic I feel like right now. And which is interesting because I wrote this song so long ago. However, some of these messages are still relevant. Like I would say Plastic and Fighters are still messages that I feel I relate to the most. Then we have All I. Now, All I basically describes of how the relationship was at a pause with that person, as we know that's in all the songs. And all I ever wanted was for them to love me for who I was. But they couldn't because of their friends and because of fear of being who they were, of labels, of not fitting in, etc. And it was really hard for me to be so vulnerable with someone just for it to then be taken away because of other people and their control. And that's another hard thing that I feel happens a lot is that all humans want is human connection. And I feel sometimes we can't get that. And I feel like, I know this is like the weirdest way to say it, but it's kind of like, you know, Pokemon, like you got to catch them all. Like, you know, like you got to like, you want validation from so many people, but sometimes you can't get it from the one person you want. It's like, I want that rare Pokemon card, the one I want. I can get it from everyone else in the room. But if I don't get it from that one person I really want, I'm not going to feel it.
Yep.
And that's what was happening a lot with this time frame is that like, you know, some people were like, you know, give me the attention I wanted, which was great, but I didn't get it from that one person.
It's not
and
the
that's
same.
all I ever wanted, and I never got it. Then the last song, which was the first song I ever wrote, is No Ordinary Life. And I wanted to close with this song because it will be foreshadowing the next album and because they go in order of my life. And No Ordinary Life is about a time I tried to commit suicide at the young age of about 13. I remember I would sleep with a knife next to me every night, and I was very thin. I probably weighed about like 130, 140 at my age, and I was not eating for months on end. And I just felt like everything was not in my favor. I had a lot of parent issues in my life growing up. I couldn't have friendships. I was going through that stuff with that guy. So I was very isolated. And because everyone was out doing their own thing, I was trapped behind four walls. I could not leave. I couldn't do anything. I kind of was my life was programmed every day for school and then go home, and that was it. And then everyone else would be like out with their friends on dates, whatever. I couldn't have a social life. So No Ordinary Life was basically me sitting in that room and writing how this isn't normal. And I discovered that because I would see on social media, everyone's out having a good Friday night, a Saturday night, and I couldn't do that. I wasn't allowed to in my environment, let alone I feel like even if I tried, I didn't want to give into those cliques just to have friends, just to say I had friends, because that's also not healthy. So that's how I closed the album, which will then foreshadow to a later project. But I kind of wanted to leave it on a sadder note because when I got done writing that album, I wasn't happy. And that's how this album is going to close. And as the albums progressively go on, I want my fans to see how my journey evolves to the highs and the lows. Good things take time. And within my life, I feel there's been many lows and there's been many highs. But that's a little information on the album. I just wanted to share that with you guys today when listening to it. And I just hope that you guys can connect to something, and I hope you guys enjoy the listen. So after hearing a little recap of the album, now in my own words, beyond the lyrics, what are your guys' thoughts?
I think it's all very interesting. I mean, I got a lot of it already just because you shared a lot of this with me, and I got a lot of it from the lyrics, but I think it's interesting how a lot of your songs follow how you felt during that age. I don't know if I'm describing it right. You said that you were not happy when you were 13. And so this song or No Ordinary Life, kind of encapsulates how you felt. Whereas there's other songs where it's it kind of captures how you felt during that situation. And it gets progressively, I don't know how to word it. It gets it follows your emotions, I guess I want to say, which I like a lot.
It's just like a diary, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Kendra? How would you say, now hearing the album from my words, how would you interpret it?
I've also heard a lot of what your songs are about, but I think you're very emotionally intelligent and understand you're learning more about yourself in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think you have a really beautiful and creative mind of how you create projects.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And what about you, Stephen? We've worked very close on this project, so me being vulnerable with these stories with you and then me telling the whole story in one full take and also seeing it how we did it today, how do you feel hearing it now, knowing more about the pieces of it?
I think it all makes the project seem even more cohesive. Mm-hmm. There's a story being told, and I think after hearing you explain it, it just makes you think oh, this is something that people will relate to.
Yeah. I hope that people can relate to this project. And I know the recording process for this past year, I've been in a very hard space. I recently went through a move as well. And we talk about how much a move can be with school and work full time. And then I had to transfer to another store because of the move. And at one point I was homeless for about 5 months while recording this album. So I think it's very interesting because I've also heard some artists say that the hardest year of their life, not that this was my hardest year, I've had harder ones, but this was still a challenging year. Regardless, a lot of artists will say the hardest year they had will be their best album's work. And I really feel that this struggling year helped bring more emotion to the table when recording. And I think that when I was recording, not only was I thinking back to my younger self, but I also let out the current emotion as well as that I was in to make it full circle. But I really hope that if anyone listens to this album, I just want them to know that things get better when you start putting yourself first. And I know that in a lot of people's perspective, that may sound selfish. But the reality is that how can you be there for someone else if you can't even be there for you? And that took me a really long time to realize that. So with that being said, I hope that anyone who listens to this album honors themselves and gives themselves, like we talked about, like the time management, the space they need to recover from current events and also be the best version of themselves for them and for other people to see the best of them. And if someone's having a tough day and if people can't accept you at your worst, they don't get to see you at your best. And that's point period. And I've lost a lot of people for being vulnerable and being at my lowest, and they didn't get to see me where I am today. And I feel sorry for them that they couldn't see everything I've done beyond this past 10 years. And I just hope that I can keep evolving and hope you guys and other people in my life stay in the future. And I can't wait to see what you guys do. I can't wait to see what I do. And I'm just really hoping that this album is something that you can relate to and enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you guys, I just want to thank you all so much for joining me today on this podcast, and Steve, for you being so patient with me on this album.
Yeah.
And being one of the only few men I really feel I can trust with all the stuff I've been through physically and mentally. So I'm really grateful that, like, being a man and you can be vulnerable and, like, let me speak these things and not make me feel guilty about it. So I'm really grateful that you let me do this. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
With that being said, you guys, this has been the Real Talk Girlies podcast. Album comes out June 4th. I'm back. See you later. Bye.
Bye.